So this is my good friend Eric
All right.
Stewart. I've known Eric for 7 years
Check.
now.
Testing.
I've known Eric for 7 years now. Some of you may have seen him at Dave Lindahl's events. He's at David Lindahl's events because I brought him to Dave. So don't think the other way around. He's my guy. He's done almost every single mortgage that I have ever taken out where I've used a mortgage lender. He has amazing contacts all over the place. And going to a mortgage lender, going to a mortgage lender is a great thing. A mortgage broker is a great thing. And the reason why is he has his finger on the pulse of what's really happening all across the country in terms of his different programs, what people are offering. He goes to very different. He doesn't just go to banks. He goes to insurance companies. He goes to, and I'll let him tell you all of the different sources that he can go to. But being able to do that, you get your foot in the door, and he shops the deal the right way. See, the thing is, when you go to get a loan, no matter who you are, you're ugly, and he pretties you up. Really. So what he does is he figures out what is it that the bank wants before the bank, before you show your cards. Because once you show your cards, the bank's going to want more. They're going to want more and more. And then they'll be like, well, where did this sponsor come from? That wasn't there before, or what have you. So you want someone in your court who brings it all together. And I wouldn't do a loan without him. When I do a loan, even when I'm the one who found the funding source, I still bring him in because I don't want to be naked and ugly in front of the banker. And when I do an assumption, I bring him in even more because it's when you assume a loan, you actually have to be as strong as the borrower. So what he'll do is he'll figure out how to make you look and feel that way, basically, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Eric and I have been through many wars together.
Yep.
We've had a great time putting together these crazy loans. He's extremely diligent, and he makes life very easy for me. So if you would not mind, if you would just stand up for a moment, stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up. And I'd like to give a big warm welcome. He came all the way from Orlando, Eric Stewart. Yay!
Thank you. When everybody stands up, then I have to get on stage because I'm so short, nobody can see me. Thank you, Sue. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. Let me chat with you for a while. I think Sue's given me about an hour and a half or so to just talk to you a little bit about lending, talk to you about the different types of loans, and specifically for you, talk about how one type of loan complements another. And just a brief intro on me. Obviously, my name's Eric Stewart. My company is Atlantic Business Capital. I started in the commercial finance industry through commercial equipment leases. I've always done business-to-business transactions. And I was heavily weighted in hospitality. We've been doing this for about 15, 16 years now. And in being embedded in that industry, they really work off of referrals. It's very much a referral-based industry. And I was doing the leases for, say, reservation systems and equipment and whatnot. And one of the hotel owners asked me to review his commercial mortgage. We went over some of the terms, and he asked me to go find him a refinance. And after that, I was hooked. So that's when I really started to focus on commercial loans and commercial lending. At that time, it was owner-occupied. And then in 2007, I like to say it was just my infinite wisdom of where the market was going. I started focusing on multifamily properties. It's really just a matter of that's where the debt was, that's where the liquidity in the debt market was, and that's where the loan requests were, that's where the lowest rates and the longest amortizations were. but I've really been heavily focused on the multifamily side since then. We see an occasional office, we see an occasional self-storage come through, but multifamily is kind of the core structure of the business. And just getting right into it, talking about loans, I want to start with talking about the complete purchase price. The total purchase price in the transaction is called the capital stack. Just consider it in percentage. It's 100% of the purchase price, whether it includes repairs, includes renovations, or it's just a straight purchase. It's 100% of the purchase price, and it's broken up into two sections. Two core sections: the debt portion and the equity portion. The higher the debt portion, typically you'd say the higher the return, depending on the terms, but that's usually the way it's going to come out. You've got different structures within those debt. You've got first mortgage, you get second mortgage. Different structures within the equity side, as Sue's probably talked to you a little bit about, the different options that you can offer your equity investors. You can have common stockholders, you can have preferred equity, and they vary in either the cost or the anticipated return. From a debt side, it's important to note, it is considered an expense. It is paid first. It's paid before your equity partners are paid, and it's staple. Now, again, this might be a little bit basic for some. This might be a lot basic for some. We might have some, commercial mortgage financiers in the room, but I'm building a foundation, and then I'm moving there. So bear with me on some of this stuff, or enjoy it, one of the two. But it is an expense. It's paid first, and it's a set amount. It doesn't go up as the revenues go up. It doesn't go down as the revenues go down. It's not tied to revenues. By the same token, the beauty of it is that they don't participate in your equity. They don't in your appreciation. As the property value goes up, they maintain their debt load. They maintain the expense. And that's very important to note when we compare the percentage of leverage, the percentage of debt, how much debt you want to take on. It's very important to note that, because I'll say it later, and it's an important part of the presentation. But remember this: equity is always more expensive than debt. Equity is always more expensive than debt. And keep that in mind. But it helps the more debt you can take on, the lower your acquisition cost. Typically, the less equity you have to give away. So that's something we'll get into later, but it's notable right now as we go through this, and that's why I'm talking about it. So whatever that balloon payment is, whatever that payoff is, it's not going to change based on the value of the property. Of course, I know we've got some investors in here that are saying, yes, it will, to the negative side when you're looking for your DPOs, but on the high side, it's not going to change. As far as equity goes, the equity side, the returns on the equity are paid off of revenues generated from the property. Once again, as the higher the revenues, the higher the dividends that are going to be paid out as they increase. I say it right there, okay. Debt is always more expensive than equity. I got a little bit ahead of myself, but that is a key factor to note, is what an important tool debt is. Yes, ma'am.
I may be mistaken, but I think you just said that opposite the second time, so I'm not sure which one. You're saying that debt is cheaper than equity, correct?
I'm saying debt is cheaper, equity is more expensive.
Okay, thank you.
My apologies. I wrote it incorrectly up here. So everybody make a note of that. This is the perfect example of writing a PowerPoint presentation the night before you talk about it. But no, the reality is equity is more expensive than debt. And the rationale behind that is because you're going to split your revenues. So the potential split is unlimited. As the property appreciates, as the revenues increase, you're going to give that up based on the percentage of your equity split. So that's the reason I say that.